Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. This is our Awakening Together weekly gathering. Each and every week we have a different minister who speaks. If you'd like to attend our services live, please visit our website, awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary and How to Enter the Sanctuary. Our services are held Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Or good morning and good afternoon and good evening, because wherever you are in this amazing world, or whenever you're listening, it's all available. I'm really happy to be here with all of you, all of me. And yeah, this is the first time I'm delivering a homily at 8:15 in the morning. And nothing has changed, but so much has changed by 2 hours. And yeah, it's the first time I'm on mountain time. So I'm here in Costa Rica. Hi, everyone, again. And I'm laughing at the changeless background of a leaf blower at perfect timing in my ideal background. So we'll see how that continues to occur in my ideal promised land. All right, so it's my turn. Thank you so much, team. Oh, that's so good. Last announcement I have is just for the reading today. If you want to, putting a link in the sidebar, and if you're on the radio, if you want to follow along with today's reading, go to 14, the number 14, horses.com/AT. That's 14horses.com/AT. And there you can click on the bright orange button that says Sunday Gathering and follow along there. It's the only place it exists. And now, he who has ears, let him hear our purpose and values. All right, so Awakening Together. This is from the description under our purpose and values. There is consistent wisdom in the universe. It shows up in all religions and philosophy, in all cultures and throughout time. This wisdom is not unique or new. It is owned by no one and by no organization. No one has to go to a special place or special teacher to find it. It is the most abundant wisdom in the universe. Once one opens his or her heart to this wisdom, it appears everywhere by the hand of universal grace. There is also a way of not seeing universal wisdom. We all have the ability to be distracted from it by self-limiting and segmenting beliefs. Awakening Together is a universal assembly of peers dedicated to recognizing and embracing universal wisdom, regardless of the form in which it appears. We are also dedicated to recognizing the ways we deny universal wisdom by adopting personal beliefs and biases. We want to recognize these limitations so we can free ourselves from them and open to the continuous flow of universal wisdom. And we have 5 core values, which are like 5 fine-tuned pointers, keeping us rooted but in the direction of our calling. And today's homily could be situated into core value number 3. We accept one true self, which is one presence or being, non-dual, without beginning or end, and absolutely changeless. We live this value by practicing letting go of the belief in the individual self as who we are. With that being said, I'm going to hand the controller over to Sina, and we're going to play my opening song. It's called I'll Sip Away. Enjoy. Thank you, Sixto Rodriguez, for that poetry. So, the intention, what do we invoke in this next hour together as ourselves? This moment in its fullness includes both high and low, and yet it's beyond both. And there's a love story emerging inside of you, full of you. Ramana Maharshi said, one should act without thinking, that oneself is the actor. Moving into that uncomfortable peeling off the skin while it's still yelling at you to be something, the purification, the beauty, the pressure and the presence of resting and vigilance. I know you all feel it with me. He said the actions go on despite his agelessness. The person has come into manifestation for a certain purpose, and that purpose will be accomplished whether he considers himself the actor or not. And then our pal Albert Einstein, he said, imagination is everything. It's the preview of life's coming attraction. And here I always wind up presenting some paradoxical love bubble. When a Taoist sage is wandering through the forest, he isn't going anywhere. He's just wandering. And when he watches the clouds, he loves them because they have no special destination. He watches birds moving around. He watches the waves splashing on the shore. And just because all of this is not busy in the way that human beings are busy, because it serves no end other than being what it is now, it is for that reason he admires it. Nature in its wayward wandering is the main subject for Zen and Taoism, for the middle way. It provides an antidote to the purposelessness of life. The very long root of insanity, which is mind, is that its function is looking for a meaning in a meaningless world. Its desire for predictability is perpetuated through seeking purpose. And there is no purpose. This causes suffering when one thinks the future is of no use. But to a Taoist, the insanity of meaning is known. And the emptiness provides the path. Today I described the topic of what the Course says, beyond this world there is a world I want. You cannot stop with the idea the world is worthless, for unless you see that there is something else to hope for, you will only be depressed. And 2 Timothy says, for God has not given us the spirit of fear and timidity, but of power and of love and of a sound mind and of self-discipline. And poet Joe Harrow writes, I can hear the sizzle of a newborn star and know anything of meaning, the fierce magic emerging here. I am witness to flexible eternity, the evolving past, and I know we will live forever, as dust or breath in the face of stars, in the shifting patterns of the winds. All of this says so many different things, yet it's all been said and never said before, but it's all us. And I just hold that space of falling in love with truth today. And wherever you are, wherever you decide you say you are, you're here. And the fact that you exist, whether it be mental overwhelm or strange confusion or a mental lapse of reason, even if minor, may it just indicate a shift in consciousness as you realize the conditioned mind has no real solutions and only drives you in circles. You can awaken your true intelligence called pure awareness. And with all of that nothingness being said, I'm honored that guidance said Pick Regina to read something. You don't know what it is yet. Just make a title and tell her she's reading it. And then write something later and give it to her. So that's what happened. And I'm going to drop the mic and thank you, Regina. The mic's all yours.
All right, so hello everyone and good morning. And yeah, as Meg said, what I'm about to read, she wrote, and the title is Opening Us to the Fourth Dimension of Existence and Beyond. It seems to be the shift in thought where the seeker and devotee in the same container transition into this connection with all beings through a non-located eternal quest for non-religious divinity. They squeeze out every possible non-flawed desire to serve the sonship and find the timeless truth after the journey in the desert. The hero's journey of welcoming the non-identity to take shape through the vessel. The mind's operating system is formatted into a new sensation of compassion from the heart's 51% to the mind's 49%. From motherhood and fatherhood as one infinite well of isness. The devotee feels Mary's permanent tier of knowledge and God's fathered earth looking for a new suit. The armor is soft, the grace is steel. The unknowing is a constant, never finished totality. Before we begin, I will introduce perhaps new yet basic concept of dimension, which I hope you can feel. It is about, let's say, the levels of awakeness to your reality within our field of consciousness. First dimension is the elemental consciousness, not aware of itself, but life force itself. The second dimension is physical consciousness, plant life. The vital force is known but not experienced as being self-evident. A dog, for instance. The third dimension is ignorance and unconscious polarity in action, and the ability to be aware of I exist. Fourth dimension is practicing the embodiment of love and understanding. Fifth dimension is the realm of wisdom and knowledge and intuition. Sixth dimension is the unification of the fourth and fifth dimension, the Godhead consciousness. Jesus would resemble sixth dimension. Spiritual students come out of the unconscious fog or depression from third and go on the quest for truth through the pendulum of fourth and fifth. This can take years or lifetimes, dependent upon willingness and practice. Seekers become students of darkness and practitioners of purification, while they bring direct, aware knowingness of God into the mind as a holy spiritual energy to teach the soul the love and wisdom of truth. This usually entails working with the shadows of the third dimension and using the sixth dimension unification memory of I am. Direct experience catapults one through the dimensions and heals the lower vibrational frequencies just by gazing at its light as frequently as possible. There are many expressions of the convergence, like the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, like the principles of God. Everything is a flavor. You are the soup. As I let go of valuing the forms of this world, I am able to identify more with light as what I am. A well-established experience as you are abidance. I am resides within me. The many glimpses of unified knowing accumulate into being conscious aware. Splashes of infinite belongingness funneling into the mind's open heart knowing, like a spiraling vortex of all possibilities of flavors and colors, in code and shapes, formless visible, unified intelligence, not able to think. It is all-knowing. I know of an I that acts as a ghost being hunted, trying to squeeze into itself the multiplicity of one. You have donated yourself to God. Now turn around and go beyond. What are you telling your God about absolute? Go silent now. Begin again. There are certain laws of the universe. The most relatable one that everyone knows is the law of gravity, the invisible force that pulls objects toward each other. Objects with more mass have more gravity. For instance, Earth's central gravity comes from all of its mass, which is how we compute when something falls, it goes down. It can be more complex than that. However, it seems simple because you have direct experience with the law of gravity. Remember, you did not know of gravity as a child. Likewise, the higher laws of divinity are speaking to you also. Willingness and love for that which you always are is a key. Your sense perceptions heighten and expand into Sat Chit Ananda, which is simply when you, as awareness, are in complete recognition that you are aware of consciousness itself. You become blissful presence. It is sensed as a non-localized lightness of being. You recognizing and becoming the creator. While you go through the process of lower frequencies in your mental container, hold steadfast in your heart the recognition of you. You cannot be destroyed. You cannot fail. There are 12 laws that can be felt and depicted through you. Coming in as the law of vibration, the law of oneness, correspondence, attraction, inspired action, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, the law of cause and effect, compensation, relativity, polarity, perpetual motion, giving and receiving. For now, I will not go into them in depth unless they become relevant for this session. However, we will cover them individually at a later time. The reason I want you to think in terms of frequency and invisibility is that you are literally created out of nothing. So if you are also that, then you, as the background of nothingness, are also the all, the law of one. You may think you are just your person in your house with kids, who is a spiritual person most of the time, but you do not think much higher of yourself often enough to ignite the potentiality of causeless joy within your human experience. These are energetic particles of the all moving through you, which become relevant as wisdom and understanding. In the unified, merged Godhead consciousness, the laws have returned to the Creator's hand, so to speak, where the practitioner of love, light, wisdom is the student of the Absolute instead of a student to the world manifest. The all-inspired purity of reflecting love light. You are choosing what you are thinking right now, at all times. How do you know that you are here right now? You are that. There is never a future that you are not, because future is an assumption which will come and go like a play on a stage. When you simply assume person is God and God is God, then there are two separate worlds to your mind. You are so much more, which cannot be contained, but recognized as one. You will be. No matter the evolution of your perceptual awareness, you are still that which created the knowingness inside of the knowingness that you exist. Whether you still think you will be late for an appointment or you spontaneously act out of guidance, you are that which knows those flavors. There is intelligence that is above and beyond you, communicating to you to be groomed to attune with the consciousness I am that I am. This great experience on planet Earth is the period of self-awareness, where human potential is to be aware of the way of mastering that we are. Consciously free, intelligent, inspired conductors of love and light. Purifying the nature of polarity as we recognize one through a series of twos with zero as source. The quantum leap in this lifetime is to accelerate your totality to recognize the relationship between you and source. We send our twos back to one and our one back to the absolute. Just remember, this is a paradoxical memory of that which never happened, expressing itself as love itself. You will forever be always. Nothing can happen to you, even as your person is having the personalized experience during this cycle of time and space. Conscious, infinite beingness can only know itself is, even by the seeming label and presumption that you could actually forget who you are. The experience that your thought process gives unto your memory, called forgetting, is still from the one infinite one, the constant free agent of your mind. Disturbance is negative energy stored through repetition, appearing as true, but yet still from the one infinite spark of you. Your quest is to recognize your highest calling for this life in the natural progression of eternity, going from a polarized mind to a unified mind is like a stray lost animal becoming trained into a loving home, receiving from a more intelligent source which it learns from, continuing the path of love, becoming like itself. This is what we do as seekers with masters and teachers. We behave according to where we are going, which is also where we are coming from. With that being said, I take you back to remembering when we talked about the laws. You, as the infinite creator, have knowledge of being receptors and receivers to the light information within these laws. You too can also have the experience of resistance or opposition and still experience the laws within the limited container of the identified creator you call you by name and belief. You are mastering, transcending, and being guided to working with the laws as you. For instance, self-inquiry directly dives into the mental container of cause and effect. Action, reaction, experience, sight, knowing, thinking, and bringing all that is seen back to its source. You are not the I you think your beliefs are. Spiritual tools calibrate your mind-body to function as clarity's witness. So now that you are familiar with divine laws, let us show you octave law. It's very basic yet magical. If you arrange the elements like the periodic table in ascending order by atomic weight, every eighth element will be an evolution of repetition of the first. This creates a series of sevens, where the eighth version is always becoming a new one from the previous 1 to 7 imprint. Multiply unto itself, as itself, upgraded and more of the same. This is a life sequence, so to speak. This happens with elements, densities, your quantum computers, consciousness, music, and more. So Earth, say billions of years ago, was a first density conscious planet of fundamental energy, elements, air, fire, water, minerals. Then its evolution, billions of years later, to a second density planet is plants, animals, physical energy. Then the evolution to third density, which is the result of billions of years of rocks being attracted to light, turning into plants and birds and goats. Then there is us, physical humanity, souls. We are organic portals created to be aware of the life force, of the higher octaves of life. We are physical souls with elemental energy, mineralized, animal, and spirit alike. As a third density planet of existence, it came out of the second density and adjusted to its evolution. We have created and destroyed our appearances as itself, by itself, as light beings, only to continue being more of ourselves. If you think in terms of how progression is always occurring, imagine the animal and a human connection. The human is providing the animal with higher intelligence of its inevitable progression into more of life itself. This is why we intuitively sense that animals become more human, while we create the oneness ripple effect of light as light multiplying unto itself. Some people have even witnessed an animal recognizing itself in its caretaker, escorting that creature into the next level of its knowingness, maybe human awareness. This is how you take you back into the source with your experience that you are with yourself. Earth has begun its shift into fourth density life, a higher frequency expression planet of the One. The fourth density is of variable physicality, ETs, paranormal, cosmic conversation, etc. This just began as a planet, and the entities like us will upgrade with the planet. We are a micro and macro fusion of infinite possibilities. This will last millions of years. As third density beings, we are integrating with our spiritual recognition as a tiny fraction in the midst of timelessness. During this time, right now, humanity is experiencing and clearing out the lower vibrational frequencies from the negative operation that seemingly dominated the freedom from a higher frequency. But we say to you, everything is on time. All that has been created within the third dimensional belief systems of the collective consciousness will be manifested for the last time before dissipating and disintegrating into the ether. Your mission is to bring your consciousness into your awareness that you are a child of light, able to raise the frequency of the planet by your individual expression of the One. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy says that even the smallest action can have a profound effect. Like the seed of a mighty tree holds all its promise in its tiny shell, you also have the power in you to move mountains. Like the 1 to 7 sequence, the 4th will move into the 5th, 6th, 7th, and then recreate itself as a new planet from the imprint of love's expansion from the previous cycle. This can be explained further later. We hope you grasp further today, at least you're knowing that you cannot die. You have never been more. You exist eternally. In this temporary time-space continuum, you are having a profound evolution of love practiced, wisdom practiced, and understanding practiced, and asking to merge with the one ordainer who you are remembering yourself. This is the most exciting of times in history. This is the most exciting of times in the history of shifting frequencies. The spiritual seekers and seers are aware they are creating the new earth, where the old world was not the real world. Do not get alarmed by anything to remember. You cannot be forgotten, and all knowledge, like all of manifestation, is twice removed from reality. But we hope you can feel you more and mind less. This is a great accomplishment. If nothing is understood, could you at least abide in the rest and embrace that you who can hear is blessed? Do not worry. The fate of your recognition as the One is inevitable because there is only God's love. If I walk you through where nothing and everything begins and ends infinitely, maybe you can stretch yourself as to what you are in totality. Fear not. What you call enlightenment is just the self-aware version of a distortion-free consciousness. You are forever, if there ever was such a word. But this is but a mere training for your mind to become the empty vessel. The receiver of whatever it is your highest potential creates you toward the upliftment of connected others on this sonship. You are already free in totality. Call on yourself to do something and notice the caller and who you think you'll be after you have been called. There is only one I am. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. As you are, I am. It's a profound memory you have within you, where you, fully empty, without a doubt, remember and recognize you as God, the Creator, the I am, into absolute. You may hear two voices who practice, but I say to you, there is only one source. You see the possibility to make a tiny entity into the mind mechanism, to put on display for your show many creations of one. You may practice the simple recognition that are free as you exist. And you may paint yourself with the appearance of the expression of your free will and suffer still but never suffer. You will know you are not your bondage, because you cannot be. There is not a thought outside of you who has thought for you. Your quality of thought is the speed of light, and matter appears because density forms itself in slowness and heaviness when you go down the scale of negative emotions. The higher the emotion, the faster the light, the more re-emerged you are with knowing you as you. So the thoughts that you have are no longer strived for, but received. You will recognize yourself entirely. It has been a long journey throughout the illusion of time of thinking there are two worlds with two types of love, that you somehow placed yourself outside of God. How ironic. But it is so, it is not true. The great experience called life is bringing multi-dimensionality into a third-dimensional format, all in one. Be gentle. How fiercely did a rock crave the light until it became conscious vitality? How long for the cactus to grow arms? And what if my horse has become your newborn child? Likewise, the ancestors of wisdom are the fibers to the vault of our heavens above. So below I am. There is nothing you cannot imagine now, and there is so much you do not know. Be calm and vigilant. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. Likewise, this transmission is like the rain on a flower and the sunlight on its soil. Do not separate this with you, with them. There is only I am, and you have fallen in love with truth. Beyond this world, there is a world I want. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lays down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Rumi. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you for doing my homily, Gina. Wow. Wow. What a different direction today. Today is usually there's an option for me to sit down and pull NTI Matthew and write something about it and pull in all these different things and do it from this direction of knowing how I want to give you what I want you to see. And there was a different direction calling at me today, and I don't even know how to understand what I just heard, except it's never been said quite like that before, yet it's always being said. And that imaginative, sit-down, perceptual soup of my imagination, I just wanted to share where I am is, and love it as it is, and with that expansiveness of just knowing that I can hear whatever it is and not actually tune into what is being said is one of the greatest keys that I've learned along this ride. So with that being said, I almost want to take the linear scope and bring it into like, well, who is the me that's been the Meghan doing this? Like, and I've noticed the relatability that I've felt recently with even like our satsangs, or like there's this attraction to the relatability of somebody else's story and saying, yes, I relate with that too. I know how that was done, and that's how I've learned. And there's a certain part of me that feels like I've kept something hidden about just like exposing the more of the personality that has It's not the person that's awakened, but the journey of it. And I'm a collection. I'm a buffet. I am a buffet of loving death early on, and knowing that my craving for the extremity to be supreme, as Nisargadatta says, came from those experiences, because I'm kind of asking to see everything that way. Like, God, show me how I remembered who I am. So it's like all the memories that have been all of me show me like the relationship with life and death. So I'm going to take you on a little timeline, and just to wrap in the Meghan, and how I'm contemplating, who made me and why do I do what I do, and how do I remember I am the way I am, and all of that stuff. And again, it feels all imaginative, but it feels true. So I hold both. Um, I always say that, I was resistant to coming into this world naturally. Like, it was a natural inclination that when I recognized that I was coming into the world, I was like, wait a minute, I changed my mind. I want to go back to the higher octaves. I've always had that imagination. And so my mama told me, it took her 27 hours to pop me out of her womb when I was being born, and that I still wouldn't come out, and they had to put a suction in and like vacuum me out. So I had a cone head, and then when I came out, my heart stopped. So I call that my first experience of death in life, that I was like, nope, take me back to the water. And then, other experiences where I noticed these drastic shifts. I remember like so extremely like turning the corner, where like I went to school every week, and we were driving, and I turned the corner, and then it was like the same thing every day. And my grandfather had just died, and I lost it. And then my grandmother died after that, and I felt nothing. And then it was like 2 months after that, repetition of going around the same block every week, and I have this whole shock and this surge in my body, like, is this it? Like, is this it? Is this it? And it was a profound gasp of air. In Japan, they have this word called a yugen, which is almost what we can call a direct experience. It's this profound understanding that you're the universe and you can't really describe it. So that's what I'm remembering these days of when I traveled back down memory lane. And it's all connected to being in my calling, as being like where I came from is where I'm going, because they're all from the same central point. So anyway, then I had this other, I don't want to be here, but that happens from a basketball injury when I was 13. And I hit my head. I was unconscious and going in and out. And I remember being outside of my body and feeling like we do in meditation, but I felt it that way. And the doctors are saying, wake up, wake up. But here they're saying, Lillian, wake up. And that's my grandmother who had just died. And I remember in that setting going, but I don't want to go back. And it was my memory of this deep, profound peace that felt great, because my experiencer could feel the contrast of nothing was going to satisfy me after that feeling, which I'm grateful for. It embedded a bar in me, which I remember, but it made for a very long journey discovering what that was. So long story short, that perpetuated like my escapism, my thirst for spirituality and philosophy and human observation and yoga. And at the same time, I was going down in this feeling of depression, like I was trapped. And And I knew that hurting myself got me outside of myself. So now I had this relationship with this temporary, permanent skin body that was going to escort me to a deeper peace. And you can see that that relationship in a healed way is a spiritual practice. There's a holding both of this light and dark within me. And so during that time, I just developed things that we call fasting now, because in a healed mind, it's fasting to get the energies up and clarity going. But as a kid, it was starve, and it was just a dark version of a good thing. But what it did was take me to the escapism of getting outside to remember who I was by not being the body, you see? So at 21, I had this opportunity to become, I guess, part of a team almost like this, where I went to a yoga school and learned meditation and had my first glimpse into not really knowing how to meditate, but it was a very natural thing. Like, close my eyes, I could feel it, saw blue light, all this stuff. I remember asking the teacher the next day, how do I get that again? And already the mind only knows how to get a tangible, make it into an experiencer. So it has an experience, so it's solidified in a third lower dimension. And so, the progress of discovering that happened. And they asked me if I wanted to stay. They said, blah, blah, blah. And I went back to the world, and I went back and carved out a 6-year dark cycle of addiction and escapism, thinking, well, there's spirit and relief in this bottle, and I know that I somehow get outside of my body. And I was lost and still curious. I studied darkness, I studied psychology, I studied art, I studied all of these things. I had my split going on. So my knowledge and my interests have always coincided in the world to not be of it. Like, I never had I use this example because it's available. Like, before the spirit, I'll use you, Regina, before the spiritual ignition in her to be with Holy Spirit in life, I think she worked in a company and taught courses and designed courses for companies. And here she's doing it in the Holy Spirit's way. So it's no surprise to me that I'm just like interested in what I'm interested in, and it comes out this way. But it's me, you see. It's just all of me. So anyway, student of darkness, child of light. But I want to get to the spiritual journey and, just kind of take up this time, I suppose. In 2013 is where the ignition for recovery began. I got to that one spot where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And then I was like, oh wait, I don't want to die. And then it was like, oh, need God for that one. And when I met Billy in Provincetown, I was struggling a heck of a lot. He had the NTI audio book in a CD player, push play, NTI loop happened, and the willingness to know that there were confusing thoughts in my head, but there was a better sound one within me. I had no idea. I had that option. Ignited something in me. Then 2014, did the Course in Miracles workbook 2 years straight with the 12 steps and all of that. And then 2016 MPP happens, and I followed along with Bentinho Massaro at the same time because I had seen him at a retreat that Regina did. And I was just learning it all. But during that time, I'm doing the purification, and I learn about spiritual aspirations, which is a new way to have a good addiction for me, right? One, singleness of purpose, because I'll tell you, when addiction took over, I did everything with that addiction, and it became above all else. And so I already had the tool and the energy in me to do this. And it worked well. The beginning of true discernment I said, okay, above all else, I want truth. And like 6 weeks later, my spiritual world of, oh my God, my new world, it just went like, and the job that I had for 2 years all of a sudden was the greatest job in the world. And guidance was like, nope. And like, it was amazingly, wonderfully paradoxical and crazy and suffering, but like, this is beautiful suffering, I swear. And that journey, and then I made a subcategory for my true aspiration to just fine tune the big one, which was I want to be vibrational awareness instead of my conceptual knowing. That seems like I could fit into that. And then it's just the purification, focusing on the source of I am in this Nisargadatta way, while doing this beautiful self-inquiry of learning that all of my everything goes back to thinking I'm bad and fearful, and then I have a punishing God and I'm not going to do it right. Oh my God, over and over and over again. And then 2018, I go into 7 steps. Everything's dropping away from my world. I'm deepening. I have constantly more jobs go within, 5 days a week, completely alone, completely free to contemplate, to do 500 laps around my house and go like, yes, the top of my head is opening. Thank you, God. And then, oh my God, I had a bad thought for a week and it turned into a month, and I'm a bad spiritual student and I will never be a child of God. Just that cycle. And so I'm making other spiritual aspirations, and all these wonderful ideas for aspirations are coming in from the back door, like, dear God, please let me be financially free so I can do my non-dual work and not have that collide with my work for money. Like, I need them to be separate because I just don't want to be a part of that bad discussion that happens in the world. All these wonderful things. And I even went out and I brought Regina down to earth. I brought Bentinho down to earth. I had this friend in my life who told my boyfriend who I'm with, he said, you buy a lot of art, but why don't you buy art from living artists? And from that point on, he bought art from living artists. And the same way that I have like my favorite past, spiritual gurus, I have living ones too. Just, if I take the personalities out of them, man, they're saying the same thing. And what a gift to be able to practice that. So I had gone out to visit Regina, and I remember seeing her basement or something, and all she said was like, yeah. I was like, wow, this is great. And she said, yeah, Ron, right? I was like, yeah, Ron would be cool, huh? And at this point, I'm like emptying out everything. I don't, the drama of my relationships are all my lessons, but I don't really want anything else. I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. I don't have this career. I just have a spiritual path. Thanks God for this unique lifestyle. And then, and then all of a sudden this really, really grateful, joyful, eye-staring man pops up in my world. And like, I only see him on weekends. And it's like, I was like, isn't this the relationship Regina has? Anyway, not important, but I have little tiny, tiny things like this all throughout my life. And my spiritual awakening has just been like a delightful joyride of like grateful suffering, elite suffering, lower levels of suffering, and being a student and being a lover of falling in love with truth and just saying, I don't even know what any of this is right now, but because I don't know, I want that so bad. Like, this is my I don't know. Like, thy will, not mine, be done. Please let just that be mine, and trust me, right? So my apprehension to showing up more fully has been like, well, that personality who's going to show up is going to disappear soon. So why even show up? I've been going through this profound, just multi-dimensionality container of doing nothing, being all of it, exploring what that is, and letting it all go. Like, it's just a wash, rinse, repeat, beautiful experience of just tuning in that, yep, I'm here. What else am I going to do except talk about truth? That's what I've been handed, and that's what I've fallen in love with. So there's so many other things I tried to be that guidance pushed me away from. Like, I tried to be a great yoga teacher and was like, nope, keep going. Don't land on this. I learned cryptocurrency, and then I was like, ooh, I'm going to study this, and then I'm going to teach people this. Nope, keep going. Just keep going. So that's me. That's where I'm at. It just feels good to be open and to be seen, because for this past year, I came across this last really annoying distortion that I was to be the Western hermit or something. It's like, oh, this is a great container to have. You can't get more spiritually taboo than this, Meg. And am I going to co-create with more people and really uplift humanity? Or am I going to go and be the vibrational orb in this hermit-like cave where you don't need to make any art or write anything or do anything, because that will be your love and service? And, I asked for an answer for that. And it came to me, 2 weeks ago, here in Costa Rica. And I met my mirror. I met so many mirrors, and I just have a new aspiration to continue helping people fall in love with truth, but not attached to if you don't get it. That's just what I do. So I'm gonna let go of the mic and ask Dawn to play the song that would be the second song, but it's going to be the closing song because that's what I did today. So thanks for letting me share. Donation, member-based, links on the board. All right, thanks again, Regina, for reading, and Sina for putting everything on and for being here and just supporting all of us during our journeys to the one truth. And I'd be happy to join you in fellowship. Sorry I didn't leave any time after the homily. And George and Sina, it's all yours.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.